practice of framing. Hello, my name is Nipin. This episode on the practice of framing is a follow-up on my previous episode, The Power of Framing, where I discussed the problem of speaking up using the Costa Concordia story. In this episode, we will discuss how to put framing in practice and why reframing is so critical for unlearning and learning. A brief outline of this discussion. We will begin with a little experiment on framing and what is framing. We will then discuss what framing really means, how our current framing of risk and safety discourse, which is language, impedes learning, why reframing holds the key for unlearning and learning, which is where most of us struggle. And finally, I will suggest some reading and courses for those who wish to learn. Let me ask you a question here. What comes to your mind when you see this situation where somebody is using an angle grinder without a guard? Don't think too much. I just need a spontaneous question from you. And I'll hold this screen for about 10 seconds. Whatever question you have formulated in your mind, we will return to it in a short while to reflect on our framing. With that in mind, what is framing? Framing is how I see the world. Observe this picture. The key to framing is subjectivity. It's my observation. This picture is an attempt to show that when we frame a photo, we are also part of the frame. Actually, we own the frame. In this way, my observation, my framing is mine. It can't be yours. And so I cannot expect you to see the world like I do. It's impossible. A very important thing that is almost always missed in risk and safety. Framing is what I believe is morally right or wrong. This is a rain stick. It's a kind of stick with cactus thorns in it, and it makes the sound of the rain when you turn it upside down. The Aboriginals believed that playing this stick would bring rain. That's how beliefs are formed. In the engineering, mechanical world, we are convinced that there are no beliefs, there are only causations, objective ones. A cause and effect can be directly observed regardless of who is observing it. It's the quest for certainty and absolute truth. When you are culturally intelligent, you don't use this language of causation. You appreciate that there are different belief systems at play. Not everyone believes in the rain stick myth. There is no cause and effect between A and B. We give it meaning and we call it attribution. Just like some of us may believe that painkillers can actually cure a headache until you go to another culture and they will tell you that this is the biggest joke. Painkillers only address the symptoms, and regular consumption of painkillers can even lead to bigger problems. But do you think that those who consume painkillers or use rain sticks really know what this is? That is just a belief? No, they think it is the truth. In fact, they will laugh at you if you challenge them. Most of us are unconscious of our beliefs and our frame of mind. That is why people have difficulties when we say we have found a cause or causes. What you have found is what gives you meaning. It may not be my meaning. Meaning comes from what we attribute value to. Some people attribute value to frontline errors, human error. Others turn to leadership. And then there are those who prefer talking about context. As you will see later, such arguments are futile and often a waste of time, and they undermine our relationships. Finally, and this is the most important bit, our frames sit in our bodies. They are not in the brain. Human mind is not in the brain. The mind is all over the body. The brain does not issue commands to the body. The brain has little control of the body. Most decisions that we make are unconscious. They don't originate in the brain. This is a model in social psychology of risk that we call one brain and three minds. And it helps us to understand how human beings learn, unlearn, and make decisions. You start from mind one, whether you are starting to learn how to drive a car, or you join a new profession as an apprentice or a new employee. In mind one, you are slow, rational, logical, analytical. You learn to follow the process and you go slow until you come to mind two, where you have sufficient confidence that you have learned the tricks of the trade and you can do most of the routine work without supervision, without procedures, without being instructed. This is where you start to create mental shortcuts that we call heuristics. Slowly, you progress from mind 2 to mind 3. Mind 3 is where you become an expert. You can do a lot of work without thinking. In fact, most of it without thinking. Everything that we do in mind 2 and mind 3 is unconscious. We are not conscious of it. Our body takes over control and it does it everything on its own. Just like when you drive a car from home to office and you can't remember a thing. That's mind 3 and partly mind 2 at work. The slow, rational, logical, analytical mind is not involved. You're not aware of your decisions. Our beliefs and our frames originate from mind 3, which we sometimes call gut thinking. We have to remember that framing is subjective, framing is collective, framing is unconscious to us, and framing is embodied. With this in mind, let's revisit the experiment we did at the start of this session where I gave you a situation. I gave you little time because I wanted to hear your responses in mind 3. Now we will examine some of the questions that we almost always come up with when we run such exercises. For example, why are you not using an angle guard? Meaning, give me a reason. You should know what you are doing. Or, have you done a risk assessment? Meaning, there must be a universal law, a procedure that comes first, and everything else is secondary. Have you followed that process? Because that is what will reduce the risk. How can I or we make it better for you? This is a question that is framed around outcome. It's very success or outcome oriented. It's about practical solutions. It's about being pragmatic. It also means that I hold the key to your success and your failure. Very paternal, very control oriented. And it's about I and you, we and them. You are an object that I can manipulate and improve. Finally, we come to another question, which is stop work immediately. Rather a statement. Isn't that obvious that when you're standing there as a safety person, people will already do that? But no, that's a question. I have to do it. It's about control, power, and masculinity. It's about saving lives. What happens when you leave the place in 5 minutes? Ask yourself these questions. These questions don't come from nowhere. These are deepest beliefs that we hold that come from our discourse, our language, which is shaped by the culture of risk and safety. My question is, how helpful is this language rooted in reductionism, measurement, and binaries for learning from a surprise, a novel situation, an incident when we are trying to engage with fallible people? Instead, let us try a different question in the same situation. Keep in mind, this person has a different view of the risk. They believe in what they do, but they don't know what they believe in. The risk is in the body, not in the brain. What question will you ask to help them learn? Notice how I have reframed this question and think about it, why I did that. Always think how we can access the embodied mind, the unaware, unconscious person who does not know what he or she believes in. Take another situation. A safety notice board has outdated information on it. Employees tend to ignore the information. The same principle applies. How will you frame your question? Here's one question to ask. What does this outdated information mean to you? Notice the framing of this question. Giving people control, asking an open question, helping them become conscious of their unconscious beliefs that sit deep inside and resist change even without knowing. Notice the framing of these questions on the prompt card on the left, open-ended and focused on the whole person. It's not about controlling, but engaging in a conversation. Here's a tool we use in social psychology of risk. The knowledge of how to pitch, prime, mirror, and anchor our message takes framing to the next level of learning and unlearning. Such simple exercises foster a culture of listening and learning with each other. It is intended to make people think and reflect. When people realize the risk on their own, it gives them a sense of ownership. You cannot be at the facility, a ship, or a site 24 hours each day. Eventually, people have to make decisions on their own. Remember, reframing is not a technique. It's how we relate with the world, how we see another person. Do we see them as objects to be measured? Do we see them as hazards to be controlled? Or do we really see them as people with whom we should meet and have a conversation? I hope you enjoyed this session. the practice of framing. You can read all about it in my book, Are We Learning from Accidents? And here are two further readings if you wish to go deeper into framing. But at the peril of repeating myself, framing, reframing, asking questions, and listening are not a technique, it's a way of living and being. Join us at one of our events where we will spend considerable time learning how to ask questions, listen, and understand how fallible humans make decisions and how we can sensibly and ethically tackle risks in an uncertain world. Thank you for listening. Hi, I hope you're enjoying watching these videos and they are making you think a little bit. And if they are, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Team Novellis. My name is Nipin. I'm a former ship captain, a master mariner, and I work at the intersection between anthropology, social psychology, and the neurosciences of how human beings learn, unlearn, relearn, and make decisions, particularly in groups, which we call collective sense making. I work with organizations around the world, particularly in high risk areas, to help them diagnose, understand, and improve their culture. If you want to know more about our work, please visit our website, novellas.solutions. Thank you for watching.